Intel Readies Xeon W3500 and W2500 Sapphire Rapids Refresh Series HEDT processors. It turns out that the 60-core Xeon W93595X leak from last week is part of a 14 SKU mid-life cycle refresh of the Xeon W4677 series targeting the workstation and HEDT markets. The underlying microarchitecture and silicon at the heart of these is Sapphire Rapids Refresh. It's essentially the same as Sapphire Rapids, but with CPU core count increases across the SKUs. If you recall, the Sapphire Rapids MCM has a maximum core count of 60 core/120 thread, which is maxed out in Xeon scalable server processors, but only hit up to 56 core/112 thread with the original W3400 and W2400 series HEDT workstation chips. This unused 4-core headroom, combined with increases in clock speeds, is how Intel plans to create these 14 SKUs across the new W3500 and W2500 product lines. As with the original W3400 and W2400 series, what set the W3500 series chips apart from the W2500 series, is the I/O. The W3500 series gets 8-channel DDR5 memory and 128 GB Gen 5 lanes, while the W2500 series chips get 4-channel DDR5 memory and 64 GB Gen 5 lanes. As we mentioned, this refresh is all about increasing the CPU core counts at existing price points. The top W93595X is a 60-core/120 thread chip, compared to the 56-core/112 thread W93495X it's replacing. The new W93575X gets a massive 8-core uplift, and is now a 44-core/88 thread processor, compared to the 36-core/72 thread W93475X. The W73565X is 32-core/64 thread, compared to the 28-core/56 thread W73465X. The W73555 and W73545 are 28-core/56 thread and 24-core/48 thread, coming in at price points comparable to the W73455 and W73445, which are 24-core/48 thread and 20-core/40 thread, respectively. At the entry level, are the W53535X 20-core/40 thread replacing the W53435X that's a 16-core/32 thread chip, and the new W53525 that's a 16-core/32 thread chip succeeding the 12-core/24 thread 3425. Besides the CPU core count increases, each SKU gets a 100 to 200 MHz speed bump to step up their single-thread performance by a bit. The story repeats with the new W2500 series, although the CPU core count increases are just by 2 cores across the board. The series tops out at 26-core/52 thread, although we'd have loved to see a 30-core/60 thread part. Both the W2500 and W2400 series are based on a single-tile variant of Sapphire Rapids that physically contains 30 CPU cores, 56 MB of shared L3 cache, 4x DDR5 memory channels, and a 64-lane GB Gen 5 root. The W2500 series lineup begins with the W32525 with a modest 8-core/16 thread count, compared to the 6-core/12 thread count of the W32423. Next up is the 10-core/20 thread W52535, compared to the 8-core/16 thread W52435. The W52545 is 12-core/24 thread, compared to the 10-core/20 thread W52445. The W52555X is a step up to 14-core/28 thread from the W52455X with its 12-core/24 thread count. A notch further up, we get the W52565X with its 18-core/36 thread CPU, compared to the 16-core/32-thread W52465X. At the top, we have the W72575X with 22-core/44 thread, which is a step up from the 20-core/40 thread W72475X, and finally the W72595X, with 26-core/52 thread on tap. Besides the 2-core increase across the board, there are similar 100 to 200 MHz speed bumps to the W3500 series.